We are finally getting a little break in the rain today. When it comes to rainy weather, some people have noticed these strange boots I'm wearing. They ask me, what are those boots you're wearing? These are the boots I wear when things are wet, because I don't like wearing my leather boots out in the wet. It's not good for the leather, it's hard on the boots. You have to be more vigilant about putting some kind of a treatment on them to replace the oils that get washed out by the water. They never do seem to get fully waterproof unless you have waterproof boots. A lot of times when it's wet, I just gravitate toward these, my rubber boots. These are just simple, less than $20 muck boots that I get at our local Buy Mart. If you don't know what Buy Mart is, that probably means you're not from the Northwest. I have used much nicer, higher quality rubber boots. The reason I don't wear them very often is because most of the time, the ones I've used anyway, are insulated, which is really nice in really cold weather, but it just doesn't get that cold here. It's rainy, it's wet right now, but it's not that cold. That's typical of winter. When we get below 30 degrees here, that's a cold night. We will get some temperatures down into the 20s, but most of the time it's just not that cold. If I was going to be standing around out in the cold, I would want those insulated boots, but for working, I find them to be just too hot when combined with non-breathable rubber. With these boots, they are cold, and if I'm out working, it helps keep my feet from getting too hot. The small percentage of the year when we do get really cold weather or we get snow, then I will bring out the better boots or just put on thicker socks. These have really good traction. They are not uncomfortable. They're not hug your feet super comfortable, but they're not uncomfortable. When I can get away with it, I like having my pants inside. That way they don't get wet. And it protects my leg from the boots rubbing on them. This works well a lot of time unless I'm dealing with some kind of debris, like sawdust. To run a chainsaw with my pant legs inside the boot is a disaster because these become a funnel for sawdust to go down. And having sawdust in your boot is a miserable experience. When I'm running a chainsaw, these pants aren't big enough to fit around the top of the boots. We like our skinny jeans on the West Coast. So I have to fold over the top of the boots, then pull down over them. Now nothing is going to go down in my boots. Actually, these are not skinny jeans. A quick story on that. My nephew has been growing and growing and growing. He is now something like 6'1". He grew out of some of his clothes. My sister tried to give me some of them. Pants don't last long with me, I destroy them, so I thought, well, I'll try some of those on. I tried pulling them on and realized they are skinny jeans. The bottom of them are so small, I could not get my foot through them without becoming a contortionist. I don't know how they do it, but it seemed weird getting I guess it'd be hand-me-ups from my nephew. Doesn't seem right. I do have a couple shirts of his though that I do like. Anyway, where was I? One of the problems of having my pants outside, after a long day of working, the tops of these boots can rub on my leg and they get sore after a while. Not the boots, but my legs. The boots don't get sore, my legs get sore. I've tried wearing high socks that come up above the boots for protection. That works for a little while, but they always end up sliding down. I've never had socks that high that didn't eventually slide down. Some people say take your socks and roll them around the outside of the top of your boots. The tops of these boots are too big for doing that. It would just stretch the socks out. I've never had good luck with that either. It seems like they always eventually slide off, which might be because I always wore cheap socks. Plus, if your socks are that way and you do get sawdust that goes down your pants, your socks become a funnel, which funnels it all into your boots. Wait, I mean, it funnels sawdust directly into my sock, not into my boot. Although my sock is in my boot, so it does both. It goes in my sock and my boot, indirectly through the sock. How is that for over-explaining things? Part of working in the woods is sawdust management. How do I possibly manage to get sawdust in my pants? It finds its way wherever it wants to go. It can go through here and eventually find its way everywhere. That's what sawdust does. It goes places. It goes everywhere. My solution to most of this is I don't spend a whole lot of time doing things out in wet weather. for various reasons. Mostly because it's just too muddy when it's wet to do the things I need to do. When it's wet, that's a good time to do other things. At least I haven't been in recent years. But if I spent more time working out in the woods in wet weather, I would probably put more time and effort into finding a better boot solution. Speaking of solutions, I may have found a solution, or at least a cone fell out of a tree. That's why I wear a hard hat. Speaking of solutions, I may have found a partial solution. Well, I didn't find it. The fine folks over at Camel City Mill found it. They recently asked me if I wanted to try out their over-the-calf socks. They are extra high, they come up over the calf. And they are socks, thus the name over-the-calf socks. Those Camel City Mill folks are clever. My first thought was, why would I want over-the-calf socks? Why would I need socks to come up that high? Well, that was earlier in the fall when things were still warm. I wasn't even thinking about these boots. Then I started thinking about these boots and thought, duh, I could use those with these boots. I've been trying them out the last few days. So far, they stay up where they're supposed to be. When I pull them on, they stay where I put them. That's what I found with their other socks too. They don't slide down like a lot of other socks. Sounds like I mumbled that, like a lot of other socks. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're keeping my boots from rubbing on my up here, so far. They also just got distracted by a buck chasing a doe. They don't even care that I'm here. They gave me plenty of time to get the camera. He's definitely a handsome fellow, but she's still playing hard to get. What was I saying? Oh yeah, they also sent me their heavyweight socks. I've been wearing their lightweight socks all summer. They do a great job of keeping my feet cool in hot weather. The heavyweight socks are made out of a thicker wool. They are doing well at keeping my feet warm. They're also very comfortable. Deer again. Now we have a little fork. East Coast people would call that a 4-point, but we call it a fork. It's barely a fork. Barely forked. It's hard to do a video in the middle of a bunch of rutting deer. It was starting to sound like a Camel City Mill merino wool sock commercial anyway. Well, since it's going that direction, we might as well roll with it. I see they're having a Black Friday sale, up to 40% off on a lot of their socks. This would be a great time to stock up on socks. Here's a little spike, and the fork is coming down toward it. He doesn't care about that, and he doesn't care that I am right here. That was quite a disappearing act behind the tree. I was saying this would be a good time to stock up on your socks, get some really good high quality American-made merino wool socks, 10-year guarantee. I heard a rumor we're going to do Christmas again this year. That's right around the corner. That would make a good gift. I didn't make it over to the camera fast enough to get it on video. They walked behind me, went over there. One buck chased another buck. The doe came out and I don't know what they were doing over there. It's a good thing the Camel City Mill people aren't paying me in advance to do a commercial for them, because it's being sabotaged by bucks with, how do we say it nicely, bucks with funny ideas. Which gives me an idea, since this video has been sabotaged, how about you just check the link in the description. You can check out Camel City Mill for yourself. Maybe you can save a few bucks on some really good high quality socks. With the Black Friday sale, you might even be able to save some dough. If you feel like your feet have been in a rut lately, treat them to some really high quality socks. Okay, I'll stop. I think you get the point.